What if I told you the hustle is actually keeping you poor? Forget everything you think you know about making money. This video will expose why true wealth isn't built on relentless grind, but on something completely counterintuitive, strategic laziness. Prepare to unlock a financial freedom most people only dream of, with less effort than you ever imagined. You're exhausted, working harder than ever, yet freedom feels out of reach. The truth? Hustle culture is stealing your future, and the antidote is simpler than you think. Let's kill the first lie. You've been told that if you just work harder, wake up earlier, sleep less, and grind longer, money will eventually catch up. That sounds logical, and it's completely wrong. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Effort has diminishing returns. The first few hours of focused work matter. After that, productivity collapses. Studies on burnout consistently show that beyond a certain workload, income growth flatlines while stress explodes. Hustlers don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're overworked in the wrong direction. Picture this. Two people work 12 hours a day. One repeats low-value tasks. The other designs one system that pays for years. Same effort. Completely different outcome. Grinding feels productive because it gives instant feedback. You're busy, tired, and earning. But wealth doesn't reward exhaustion. It rewards leverage. If effort alone created wealth, construction workers and nurses would be billionaires. Fast forward 5 years of pure grind, same skills, same income ceiling, more fatigue, less optionality. This is the hustle fallacy, confusing movement with progress. And as long as you believe effort equals money, you'll stay trapped working harder for smaller returns. Busyness is not ambition. It's avoidance dressed up as discipline. The always be busy mindset keeps you locked inside operational work, answering emails, chasing small clients, doing everything yourself because it feels safe. Strategic thinking is uncomfortable. It forces you to confront leverage, risk, and long-term decisions. So the brain chooses motion instead. Here's the trap. When you're busy all day, you feel productive, but you never step back to ask, is this even worth doing? Top wealth builders don't work more hours. They spend more time thinking. They design systems, make decisions once, and let the results compound. Hustle culture steals that thinking time and replaces it with noise. Look closely and you'll see it everywhere. People proud of being overwhelmed, bragging about 16-hour days, yet financially stuck. Busy people optimize tasks. Strategic people eliminate them. Imagine two futures. In one, you're booked solid for the next year. In the other, your calendar is empty, but your systems run automatically. Which one actually looks like freedom? Busyness feels responsible, but it quietly blocks the one thing that creates wealth, space to think strategically. The most dangerous cost of hustle isn't exhaustion, it's opportunity loss. While you're grinding, you're not learning high-leverage skills. You're not building assets. You're not planning long-term moves. You're trading time for money and calling it progress. Constant effort creates tunnel vision. You focus on today's task, today's income, today's survival. Meanwhile, opportunities that require setup, investments, systems, partnerships pass you by because they don't pay immediately. This is how people stay productive for years and still feel behind. Think about compounding. Missing 1 year of strategic investing or asset building doesn't just delay results, it permanently shrinks your future curve. 5 years later, the gap between what could have been and what is becomes painful. And here's the irony. The harder you grind, the less energy you have to escape the grind. Hustle culture doesn't fail loudly. It fails silently by keeping you busy enough to never question the path. This is why effort alone isn't noble. It's dangerous when it replaces strategy. Strategic laziness does not mean being inactive or avoiding work. It means intentionally stopping low-value tasks that do not grow your income or freedom. Most people believe that if they do everything themselves, results will be better. In reality, this belief keeps them trapped. When you personally handle every small task, your time gets consumed by work that does not scale. Strategic laziness is about removing yourself from repetition. Instead of doing the same task again and again, you build a simple system or process that does it for you. One decision replaces hundreds of actions. If your income stops when you stop working, then you are not building wealth, you are only buying money with time. Wealth is created when effort is done once and paid many times. This approach may feel uncomfortable at first because busyness feels productive. But productivity is not the goal, leverage is. The smartest move is not working more hours. The smartest move is designing work so it no longer needs you. That is strategic laziness. This is where most people mentally collapse. You've been trained to think like a worker. If I don't do it, it won't get done. That belief is poison. Strategic wealth requires a brutal identity shift from doer to designer. You stop asking how hard something is and start asking how scalable it is. Workers trade time. Orchestrators arrange resources. Time is capped. Systems are not. When you trade time for money, your income has a ceiling and your life has a speed limit. When you orchestrate assets, people, and processes, effort becomes optional. This is why hustlers feel anxious when they rest. Their income depends on motion. Strategic players can pause because value continues to move underneath them. Think of yourself as a conductor, not a musician. You don't play every instrument, you decide the rhythm. Once you make this shift, hustle feels inefficient. You stop asking, how can I work more? And start asking, how can this work without me? That's the moment wealth stops being stressful. History is brutally honest, but hustle culture ignores it. The biggest wealth creators weren't the hardest workers in the room. They were the best leveragers. They designed once and let scale do the heavy lifting. So-called lazy innovators focused on removing themselves from repetition. They automated decisions. They built frameworks. They simplified aggressively. While others were busy working in the system, these people were working on the system. That's why hustlers often hate this idea. It threatens their identity. If effort isn't the key, then all that grinding wasn't a badge of honor. It was misdirected loyalty. Look at any massive business and ask one question. Is the founder doing the work, or did they design something that does the work? Wealth rewards foresight, not fatigue. And here's the brutal takeaway. If you're proud of being exhausted, you're probably under-leveraged. The goal was never to work harder. It was to become unnecessary. This is the most common trap and the most invisible one. You're busy all day, you're tired at night, you tell yourself, at least I'm working hard. And slowly, that story becomes your identity. But here's the brutal reality. Busyness can be a financial sedative. It numbs the pain of not progressing. People in this loop aren't lazy. They're responsible. They show up. They grind. And that's exactly why they stay stuck. Every ounce of energy goes into maintaining income, not upgrading it. You'll hear it in their voice. I don't have time to learn. I'll automate later. Once things slow down, they never do. Fast forward 5 years. Same workload, same stress, slightly higher income, massively higher fatigue. The danger isn't poverty, it's permanent, almost wealth. Close enough to survive, too busy to escape. Hustle culture celebrates this loop because it looks productive. But wealth doesn't come from being occupied. It comes from being positioned. And the scariest part? You can work like this forever and still feel like success is just around the corner. Let's make this real. Take the freelancer charging low rates. They work nonstop, say yes to everything, and still worry every month. Why? Because each dollar requires more time. No leverage, no scale, or the side hustler juggling 3 gigs. Income looks decent, but there's no growth curve, just exhaustion. If they stop, everything stops. Now compare that to someone who spent one focused year building a scalable asset, a digital product, a content system, a small automated business. Same starting point, completely different trajectory. Here's the difference. One person optimized effort, the other optimized structure. Hard work didn't fail them. Low leverage did. Most people don't realize they're stuck until their energy is gone. And by then, rebuilding feels impossible. That's why this trap is dangerous. It rewards effort just enough to keep you loyal while quietly stealing your upside. The biggest damage of nonstop hustling is not physical tiredness, it is what it does to your mind. When you are always busy, your thinking becomes small. You stop planning long-term and start thinking only about the next task, the next payment, the next problem. This is called survival mode, and it quietly limits your future. Over time, constant hustle removes your ability to think creatively. You do not dream bigger goals because you are too exhausted to imagine them. Even when better opportunities appear, your mind rejects them because they feel risky and unfamiliar. This is why many hardworking people fear slowing down. Silence forces reflection, and reflection exposes the truth. The hustle is not moving them forward. Years can pass like this. Income may rise slightly, but stress rises faster. Confidence drops. Motivation fades. The person becomes busy, not powerful. Wealth requires mental space. It needs clarity, focus, and calm decision-making. Without space to think, you cannot build systems, assets, or leverage. Hustle culture steals that space. And without space, freedom is impossible. Here it is unchanged. Here's the rule that separates wealth from work. Leverage beats effort. Every time. Leverage means one decision creates results repeatedly without repeating the work. Hustle culture hates this idea because it makes grinding look inefficient, which it is. There are only a few real leverage types. Capital code media people, most people use none of them. They rely only on their own time, and time is the weakest tool in the room. Think about it. One viral video can outperform years of hourly labor. One smart investment can beat decades of saving. One system can replace hundreds of manual actions. Hard work multiplies by 1x. Leverage multiplies by 10x, 100x, 1000x. This is why wealthy people look calm. They're not working harder. They're writing structures they built earlier. The tragedy? Leverage feels slow at the start, so people quit. But once it kicks in, effort becomes optional. That's the game hustle never teaches you. Income pays bills. Assets buy freedom. If all your focus is income, you'll always be working. If you build assets, work becomes a choice. Assets are things that grow or earn without constant input. Digital products, content libraries, intellectual property, automated businesses, equity and investments. Hustlers chase income because it feels urgent. Asset builders tolerate short-term discomfort for long-term dominance. Here's the uncomfortable math. Someone earning less but building assets will eventually pass someone earning more with none. That's why raises don't make people rich. Promotions don't either. They increase dependency on effort. Ask yourself this brutally honest question. If I stopped working for 30 days, would anything still pay me? If the answer is no, you don't have leverage, you have obligations. Wealth grows when today's effort pays tomorrow, next year, and 5 years from now. That's not laziness. That's foresight. This is the most underestimated leverage of all. Your results are capped by your thinking unless you plug into other people's brains, capital, and distribution. Networks scale faster than talent. One relationship can unlock new audiences, better deals, faster learning, opportunities you didn't even know existed. Hustlers isolate themselves. Builders connect strategically. This doesn't mean fake networking or chasing clout. It means positioning yourself where leverage already exists: communities, platforms, ecosystems. When you build in public, share ideas, or create value once, the right people find you. And suddenly, effort multiplies. The richest people aren't the smartest in the room. They're the most connected to leverage. Wealth isn't built alone. It's assembled. Freedom doesn't come from quitting everything. It comes from removing friction intelligently. Strategic laziness starts with a ruthless audit. What drains energy but barely moves income? What repeats every week that could be automated? What only exists because that's how you've always done it? Most people try to add more effort. Smart builders subtract. Your roadmap isn't complicated. Eliminate low-impact tasks, automate repetitive ones, delegate anything below your skill ceiling. This isn't about doing nothing. It's about protecting your thinking, time, the rarest asset you own. At first, this feels uncomfortable. You'll feel lazy. That's conditioning talking. In reality, you're upgrading your operating system. Wealthy lives look simple because complexity was removed early. Strategic laziness isn't an end goal. It's a setup phase for leverage. Here's the paradox. Strategic laziness only works if you never stop learning. While others are busy reacting, you're studying patterns. While they chase trends, you understand systems. The economy doesn't reward effort, it rewards adaptation. AI, automation, platforms, these tools don't replace people. They replace people who refuse to evolve. Your job is not to work harder. It's to stay positioned. 1 hour of learning high leverage skills can outperform a week of grinding low value tasks. And those skills stack. They don't reset. The moment you stop learning, laziness becomes decay. But when learning continues, laziness becomes dominance. That's how you stay ahead while working less. Here's the choice no one makes for you. You can stay busy, feel useful, and remain financially dependent on effort, or you can feel uncomfortable now and free later. Strategic laziness isn't popular because it delays gratification. Hustle culture feeds ego today. Leverage feeds freedom tomorrow. This isn't about escaping work. It's about escaping pointless work. Your future isn't built by how hard you grind, but by how intelligently you decide what deserves your energy. So don't ask, how much more can I do? Ask, what can I design once and never touch again? That question is where wealth begins.